everyone. Stay tuned to the end of the video if you're interested in finding out information about how to talk with me on a one-on-one basis. Enjoy the video now. We're looking at a fairly ugly topic, but one that is far more prevalent to mankind and our history than most are aware. The idea of slavery. And many folks think that slavery originated in the United States, but it so predated the U.S. It's basically been part of mankind's history since we've studied history and we can go back. And slavery, just the idea behind slavery, it isn't along, say, racial lines or religious lines. It's vulnerability lines. If one group is stronger than another, they're going to try to enslave them and make them do their work for them. It's just the age-old story. That said, what does the Bible say about slavery in some ways? And does that square with the idea that God is love and that God was the author of the Bible? This is what I'm going after. The notion that the entire Bible is the Word of God, and the idea that God is love, just, patient, kind, all of these things. Does that square with the notion of slavery as it's represented in the texts? And I'll leave that for you to decide, but I'm going to read a few things about slavery. Is slavery endorsed in the Bible? Is it? And it is. So I'm just going to read a couple things, some from the Hebrew Bible and then one from the New Testament, and then let it go. In Exodus 21, verse 1, I'll read a few verses. I'll probably go right on through like 8 or 9 or so. Now these are the rules that you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to God, and he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall be his slave forever. Now I'm going to read verse 7. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who has designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has broken faith with her. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as with a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. And if he does not do these 3 things for her, she shall go out for nothing without payment of money. And then just one more, just for emphasis here, in Exodus, same chapter, in verse 26 and 27. When a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, and destroys it, he shall let the slave go free because of his eye. If he knocks out the tooth of his slave, male or female, he shall let the slave go free because of his tooth. Now notice it doesn't say in here anywhere, he shall let the slave go free because slavery is wrong. You're getting specific instruction in here as far as how to handle the ownership of another person. And the point here is, does this square with your idea of what's right and what's wrong? And if the idea that God is love and is caring and looks out for everybody, does it square with what we read here? And that's not to indict God. Maybe our idea of how the texts were written, why they were written, about whom they were written and such. Maybe some of those more bespeak human writing versus God dictating to people what to write, and that these are just the pure words of a loving God. That's my point, that needs to be reconsidered. But now we'll jump to the New Testament for those who think the Hebrew Bible has been replaced by the New Testament in Ephesians 6, 5-9. There's instruction about slavery here and slaves. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one of you for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. Now read verse 9. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. Now, as a free person, I've always read this and said, okay, everybody just has to do their best for God, has to do their best as though they're serving the Lord. So whether slave or free. But the thing is, I'm a free person reading this. Now, put myself in the position of a slave and saying, oh, do this for the same cause, even though the people out there are all free. That's a very different perspective. And it's in many ways a cold-hearted perspective to think, oh, we're all equal. Well, in some ways, the argument can be made that we're equal in the eyes of God or the eyes of the Lord, and however that works. The point I'm making is, are these the words of men writing this, writing about the commonality in the world, which is slavery had always existed, and we just accept slavery? Or are these the words of God? Did God dictate these? A loving God saying, hey guys, if you're in slavery, no big whoop. Just keep working hard for your masters. Don't act as though you're working hard for them, but do it as though you're working for me, a higher cause. It's like, well, in many ways, if I'm a slave, I'm like, throw me a bone here and make me not a slave. I'll go out in the world and have a hard life out there, but I'd rather not be a slave. So that's the point here. It stirs up a little trouble, a little bit of conversation, but conversation, as long as it's rational, considerate, thoughtful, we can actually make progress toward making better cases for things, whatever that case might be. Leave your comments, guys. Leave your questions. Maybe I'll make a video about it. I'm always looking for new things to do videos about, and this is obviously a sensitive topic, that of slavery. So there you go. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you on another video, and keep thinking theology. This is just a video to let you know that I'm available on a one-on-one basis for personal coaching or for conversations about theological topics. Could be relationships you're having with somebody who's a bit toxic in their faith. Maybe they're over the top. Maybe you're having questions, maybe doubts, or just wondering about your church or whatever. The theology obviously covers a broad range and spectrum of issues. So if you need or want to speak with somebody about these topics in a non-judgmental way, non-confrontational way, I'm available on a one-on-one basis. I've been doing this for many years, not just with theology, with executive business coaching. I work in personal spaces with people who are going through a divorce. And this is not about establishing your faith or challenging you on faith. This has nothing to do with your particular denomination, faith, religion. This is about relationships and how to process some of the nuances of your faith that you may not have considered, that may ease your mind about how you're thinking about things or approaching things. So my normal fee for executive business coaching is $250 per hour, but for theological topics, I've kept it at $95 per hour, and some folks may even need special consideration on that fee, and we could discuss that if you have financial hardship. And our conversations take place by phone, and we'll make a lot of progress in a short period of time. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm very approachable. I've been doing this for many years. My direct email is thinkingtheologytoday@gmail.com. That comes directly to me, and it's scrolling across the screen now, but it's also in the description box below. So if you're interested in talking with me on a one-on-one basis, that's how to do it. All right, folks, I hope you're doing well. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video. Keep thinking theology.